comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. It is Thursday, and it is one of the last Thursdays of Season 1. And again, we've been highlighting this. Season 2 rapidly approaching. Remember, new episodes now every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're ditching the Monday and Thursday, and we are going Trace. Those of you that don't hablo Espanol, that's three times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sports Idiot Nation. Follow us wherever you get your social media. The most fun way to watch is, of course, on YouTube, but catch us on Apple and Spotify as well. So we had to bring in the big guns, the big, huge guns. He's got huge guns. We're going to find out all about it. T.I., you first introduce Big Joe, and then we'll get into it, man.
Absolutely. So this is Mr. Big Joe Dubin here. One of my favorites, Nashville, just personalities in general. But I fell in love with Big Joe with his way that he tell his sportscasting, his no hold barred attitude, just really not giving a you know what. There were a couple moments that we will talk about later in the show that I was like, this is my guy. And so when I fell into, obviously, this world of creating content and doing social media and things, naturally, I have always been a fan of Big Joe. And one of my biggest goals was to get him on this first season. And so I'm excited for him to sit down. But yeah, Big Joe has had his hand in everything from sports media to writing books, to radios, to commentating, to commentary for the Cats, my MTSU Blue Raiders. I mean, you name it, this man has had his hand in it. So, Big Joe, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. Thanks for asking.
We're stoked. So, Joe, here's what I want to find out. I found out through the grapevine that you've done some cool events with some pretty famous people, and I want to ask you because I live in Indiana. I'm not from there originally. I'm from the Bay Area, but Larry Bird is a huge deal in this state with the Pacers and Indiana State, and obviously with the Boston Celtics. He did a few good things. Tell me your experience. I've heard that you had an experience with Larry Bird, so I want to start there.
So it's an event called Volunteers of America. It's a huge organization, nonprofit, do great work around the country. And so they have different chapters throughout, I think I like 12 chapters throughout the United States. And so I host a big event here every May, June in Nashville. So about 10 years ago, the guy asked me and says, hey, we're doing Johnny Majors. Can you host this for us? Because the time I was at Channel 4 and they had a commercial buy-in. I'm like, I can't get anybody to answer the phone over there. So I'd love to do it. So first year, Johnny Majors. Then we had fun. The 2 years went by and nobody. And then he asked me, he said, all right, can you do it in 2020 COVID with Jeremy Pruitt? I'm like, oh, this will be fun. Pruitt was awful, especially over Zoom. And the questions were pre-planned. Brutal. And then the next year it was Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown actually did that event the day they signed Julio Jones. Literally an hour before the event, we're sitting there and A.J. Brown's like, oh, my God, we just signed Julio Jones. It's like, I had this great interview with him. 22 had Peyton Manning. 23 was Derrick Henry. 24, Terry Bradshaw. And then last year they said, hey, we got a big timer coming up. I can't tell you yet. And it happened to be Larry Bird. And I'm telling you, man, all the other ones were great, but Larry Bird was so gracious, and he loves still being relevant, if that makes sense. I mean, I think he's like 67 or 68. He loved and still talks a lot of smack because, in the Jordan Last Dance, they asked him, says, who's the one guy that talked more trash to you? He's like, oh, it's Larry Bird. And then so we talked about that, his run-ins with Dennis Rodman. But, man, I'm sitting there, and halfway through the event, I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, you're Larry Bird. I just, it overtakes you at some point. And I tell people, I've only been starstruck twice in my life. One was a local musician here, was on a morning TV show named Tom Grant on the Ralph Emery show. It was great. And next time I was working at a bar and Ken Stabler came in. I mean, it was the snake, right? I mean, that's Ken Stabler. Couldn't have been any nicer. There was no cell phones back then. It was the mid-'90s. And he signed autographs. It was great. But Bird was up there because I asked him, I says, what would happen if you walked down the street in Boston? And he said, that's why I live in Indianapolis. And it was just, I mean, he still gets it, right? He was gracious. He said autograph.
Man.
So he signed 2 Celtics jerseys, and they went for like $18,000 all to the charity. He's like, nope,
Wow.
I love doing this, and that was it. Funny thing was, he said that he wanted to be back on his couch by 10 o'clock in Indianapolis. This event started at 6 in Nashville. I had to wrap him up at 6:45. At 7, he was on his way to the airport, and I think he was home by like 9:15 that night. So, but when he was there, he was engaged. And I can't tell you how many events I've done where they're not engaged. And a quick story, the Titans got mad at me in 2009. I mean, they got mad at me. Chris Johnson hosted a football camp at Pope John Paul High School. And, of course, he was about 40 minutes late. It's like 300 kids there. And all Chris Johnson did was this the whole time. He walked around. I'm telling you, when I say he's doing this, the entire time. So I do the news that night, and I said, hey, this afternoon, I had a chance to go to the Chris Johnson texting camp. And it was a lot of fun. So they called me. Well, Titans PR called me at 7 o'clock and said, hey, do you mind? I said, yeah, I mind. You need to tell your guys when they're at these events to be engaged. I'm not changing. You don't own me. They try to go over my head. And my boss came to me and said, hey, I just got a call. I said, I'm not. And I showed him the video. I'm like, would you pay for your kid to go to this? And he's texting the whole time. He's like, you got a good point. I said, I'm not changing anything. And I changed nothing. So the fact that Larry Bird was so engaged in that moment was fantastic.
Dude.
Yeah.
Epic story right there with Chris Johnson.
Yeah,
Jeez.
right?
That's like I said, Adam. Big Joe does not give
This
a
dude does
what.
not care. Yeah.
And that's, like I said, that's why I connected with him instantly when I saw some of his on air, the way he handled stuff. I was like, this is my man. So I love that story. I was telling Adam prior, I was like, I've seen you numerous events. I said, we've got Terry Bradshaw. Now we got Larry Bird. So we got Terry, we got Larry. So next there has to be a Jerry. So is it Jerry Seinfeld next? Is that
Actually next year it's going to be Barkley and Shaq.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
They're pushing it back 3 weeks.
Terrible.
Terrible.
They're pushing it back 3 weeks so they could get through the NBA season. And evidently Shaq found out about the organization and loved it. And so he's like, I'll bring Charles next year. And they're, for the most part, I've been told they've signed on. So not bad.
Oh, man. Not bad. That's worth the price of admission. Price of admission. Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's an honor in itself right there. I mean, I know that you're just following your social media. I know Larry Bird was a childhood idol of yours, or at least one of your icons.
It's Bird Magic. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, they say back. Yeah. Do you know that the NBA Finals in the 70s were on tape delay?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
that. You couldn't watch them live, and Bird and Magic made it relevant where it wasn't on tape delay anymore. They walked so that Jordan can run. Yep. I say that for sure.
I mean, and that's the whole thing. We all got, and I was like, we got engaged in 79, the basketball. I mean, I was 10 years old, but I remember all that. And I was like, how does it feel when somebody say you saved basketball? He's like, we pretty much did. I mean, he's very open. He's humble, but he's open about it. Like, we saved basketball because the games are on tape delay. Nobody watched those games.
Yeah.
And now, my goodness, that from 80 to 98, when that's the golden era of basketball. I haven't watched NBA in 20 years. 80 to 98, I could tell you every player on every team and every coach. It was amazing.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on the show. We miss that era so much. Adam and I are 1 year apart in age, so we're right there with you. We miss it so much. We still enjoy the game, but it just doesn't compare. Does not compare. People that didn't experience it, you can go back and watch YouTube. It just doesn't have the same effect.
Amen.
So, Joe, I want to ask you about book writing, because that's something that I heard about as well. What is something that you learned from writing a book that you didn't necessarily see from the beginning, and then after you're like, holy cow, I didn't think that writing a book I would learn this?
How easy it was to do it. We always talk about it. I mean, how many people have you met in your life? I'm going to write a book. So I was working this event, a travel destination. I was out of TV, and I was working with this tour company downtown Nashville, and they brought all these IT healthcare executives into Nashville. And one guy was speaking, and my job was to get him from the limo to the private area on the stage, and he spoke. And I tell you guys, he was the worst speaker I've ever heard in my life. He had the wrong PowerPoint. He was nervous. He left the stage once or twice. And I asked a lady, I'm like, how did you get him? She's like, well, he wrote a book about this, and the book was pretty good. I'm like, so that's all it takes is to write a book and get speaking engagements? She's like, yeah, because we got something tangible. I'm like, all right. So I've got this thing where I tell people one day or day one, right? So think about that. Oh, one day I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna play guitar one day, Why not make it day one? It was that simple. And it flipped my mind like, all right, day one. Oh. And so for the last 6 years, I write an article each week for Main Street Media. I think we're in like 18 different newspapers. So I just took articles I had written, I saved in my Google Drive about being told no in your career, because like I sent out like 60 resume tapes when I tried to get on TV, zero response, zero. The Einstein definition of insanity, do the same thing over again, expecting a different result. And it didn't happen, right? So I was like, all right, my journey is kind of unique because I'm not handsome. I'm not overly, articulate and all that other good stuff.
You have the bald and a beard going.
Right.
I think you're mighty fine looking.
Yeah, right. I'm the dude at the bar. I sit next to you at the bar. That's who I am.
Same.
So I changed my resume tape around. I got a job in TV and took off. And I think people wanted to know that story about what do I do? So my book was called Create the Chaos. And that is, when you create in the midst of chaos, there's wonderful opportunity. And I found in this chaos is wonderful opportunity. I had to write better. I had to be better. I had to be more creative. I had to dig down deep to do things. So I wrote this book and it just took off. And I did it Kindle, self-published. And it was great. And I marketed it myself. And the funny thing was it came out in September of 22. In May of 23, I got a phone call from the Harvard bookstore on my phone. I'm not kidding you. I was like, why? It's spam, right? I don't answer. They call back. I'm like, all right, what is this? Hey, this is Joe. So, hey, Joe, this is whomever at Harvard bookstore. Just letting you know, we found your number, that your book, we call authors and let them know that your book is for sale in our bookstore. And I was like, who is this? This is a joke, right? I'm from Donaldson, Tennessee. We don't put books in the Harvard bookstore. She's like, no, very true. She's like, I'll send you a copy. So I went online and ordered it. And sure enough, 3 days later, I got the envelope unopened. It's at work. I got it on my desk at work. I'm like, well, I got a book here? On a Harvard bookstore? So my thing is, it's easy to do. You just got to sit down and do it, right? We always talk about that. Same thing with about during COVID. I wanted to play guitar. I'm going to play the guitar. Well, one day I'll play guitar. Or day one, what are you going to make it do? So day one, I went on YouTube. I found the easiest songs to play with 2 chords, how to beat up guitar. I got it restrung, and now I can play about 60 songs. You got to get off your ass. The thing about, good things come to those who wait. You got to get off your ass. Great things come to those who wait. Not good things, great things. So writing the book, I discovered, man, and I'm telling you, for Main Street Media, about 97% of the stuff I write is awful. Absolutely garbage. I can't tell you how many times I write, rewrite, edit, throw it away, don't write for a week. But I'm telling you guys, when you write, whoever you are, that 3% that you write, gold, absolute gold. But you got to keep writing. Aaron Sorkin's a big idol of mine. He wrote The West Wing, Few Good Men, American President, Social Network. He writes, he's like, I just write. I go back and I write from the heart, and I go back and I edit from the head. I'm like, he goes, but you got to write. So I did that. Now we're up to 4 books, and I've written 2 fiction books. I got another nonfiction coming out next week about Nashville and the stories of Nashville. So what I discovered is that if you get off your tail and do things and move forward, you can accomplish some great things. But all too often, we sit around. I tell people every day, I'm like, go to the gym, 45 minutes to the gym. Mentally, physically, it turns your life around. If you can sit and watch Netflix for 45 minutes, you can go to the gym. What does better in life, Netflix or the gym? You tell me. Pretty simple answer. So anyway, my whole thing is like, just get going. And I'm telling you, the adrenaline and the blood, it feels so good in your body. I don't know any drug that makes you feel as good as getting a note from somebody you've never met and said, hey, I saw your book. I ordered it. And it's fantastic. And I'm like, thank you. And what's funny about my book, is that, I see how many books are being sold and all that. And we did good for about 4 months. And then it took a lull for a little bit. And then one day it just started taking off. I mean, my Kindle account was going crazy. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I got on the Amazon. I looked up Prince, who's the guy that hates England. He married the crazy woman, Harry.
Oh yeah, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle.
Okay. So his autobiography came out, and it said on Amazon on the main page, it said, if you like this book, you'll love this book. And it was my book. And I screenshot it. I'm like, you got
How
to
did
be. No idea. I have no idea.
The algorithm gotcha. Algorithm
just
is
took
like,
off.
all right.
So I tell people, I tell Chase on the show, Lou Holtz is one of the best speakers of all time. He said one time, he's like, listen, in life, I'd rather be lucky than good in everything. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. And then you realize, I'd rather be lucky than good. So anyway, to answer your question, I learned that that people want to read these stories and you could do things. And we're like, well, I don't know the process. If I could do that, I'm telling you, anybody could do that.
Dude, that is amazing, man. I'm ready to run through a brick wall, Ti. I don't know about you.
I'm ready to Kool-Aid. I'm ready to Kool-Aid man for Big Joe. but Joe, no, I agree with you on that. The mindset of there's no better time than now. I live that. I will die by that motto. I don't care if it's something. I don't care if it's a band you want to go see, a movie you want to see. I don't care if it's, like you said, you needed some time to yourself to work on your book, work on your screenplay, whatever it is. A lot of people, what's an age-old excuse? Oh man, it's a weeknight. I got to work tomorrow. That's one thing that's never existed for me. Where I'm like, I don't care if it's Wednesday, Sunday, whatever. Like is there something I want to do? I don't care if it starts at midnight. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to live my life. Wherever I have to make sacrifices, I will. So, I've always kind of felt like this is your one life, and you can wait around every day and wait for the right opportunity. But like you said, there is no better time than why not right now. So
I mean, what's here? I don't know if you could see it or not, but there, probably not. Anyway,
a little bit. Yeah.
All right, there it is.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Wow,
there it is, dude. That is wild. That is wild.
I thought was playing a joke on me, but again, you throw enough stuff at the wall, something's got to stick.
Yeah.
90% of the stuff I throw at the wall, it falls off. But man, the 10%,
yeah,
dude, that's like our episodes, Ti. To be honest, like we're about 100. Once you're 100 episodes in, there's probably 7 that, oh my God, Joe, these are the best podcasts you've ever heard. Like, we have like 100 of them,
and there's like 80 of them. You're like,
not for me. But dude, there are some really. Now this is going to be one of them because it's so powerful, and I definitely want a couple things from Ti that pointed out that I want him to ask. But before, I want to remind you guys, with your book and everything. Reminder, first of all, to catch Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media. New episodes every Monday and Thursday, which is changing to Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, you didn't run that by me. Didn't run that one by me. So
what you showed us, Joe, was that link there. So we're going to put that in the description. So if you are interested in Joe's book, be sure to just click the link because multiple links. We got to be able to check them out.
Yeah, you just go to Amazon and type in my name and they pop up, and there's 4 there. I wrote Create the Chaos, and I wrote one called Screaming at God. It's about my mother had Alzheimer's and about the process and the history she left and what the effect of being a caregiver had on me, and a lot of other people. And that book did okay. I mean, it wasn't like the jovial book. And then I wrote a book about my son learning how to drive called Lord, Please Don't Hit That Mailbox. And I'm telling you guys, the perspective you have from the driver's side to the passenger side is night and day. So when I'm driving and I'm telling him I do this, do that, he's looking at, then when I'm in that seat, I'm thinking, Jesus, he's going to hit this mailbox. Oh my God, he hits the car. So you're like, Lord, please don't hit this mailbox. The perspective, man, of sitting in that seat is so different than that. And it's like sometimes we got to change our perspective when we do things, look at things differently. And then so it's a bunch of stories about raising kids and laughing. And that book did really, really well. So I've been lucky, not good.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, you're good, but you've also have been lucky. But you're damn good, and
Thank you.
we all know that. But Adam, before you go any deeper, I want to ask Joe a quick question. So I knew Chase's dad, Charlie,
Good
for a
man.
while. Through my industry before I switched to the tech industry. I used to manage a wine and spirit store for many years, and I knew just Charlie through the industry of things. How did the show with you and Chase come about? I'm just curious about that.
So when I left Channel 2 in 2011, I went to ESPN Radio, and I was there, and Chase was our intern. So I'd known his dad a little bit, and so Chase became our intern, and Chase got hired on. Chase is a great story of he was told, you're not good on air, you're not smart enough, you're not all the things, idiot managers tell you. So Chase just did like, hey, can you do midnight to 6? I'll do it. Can you do 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.? I'll do it. Can you work this weekend? 12, I'll do it. And so it's a lesson in nothing's handed to you. And if it's handed to you, it's not worth it. Guy busted his ass. So anyway, I left in 2015 to go to Channel 4. Anyway, Chase just kept climbing the ladder. And then, I had a job in the corporate world 2 years ago, which led to all my depression. I've been very open about that. And make a long story short, I was in a really bad spot in my life. And I asked God, I was like, look, we got to do this or I'm done. And at that point, I had like 8 friends that had committed suicide in less than 2 years, good friends. And it was just tearing me apart. And I'm telling you, man, 2 days later, I get a phone call from Chip Walters at MTSU. He's like, hey, Jeff Murphy's not going to come back and call the games. I think you would be fun. Would you want to do it? And I was like, do I want to call MTSU football games? Absolutely. He's like, yeah, give me a day or two and I'll call you back. Next day, he calls me back. The day after that, Chase calls me and says, hey, he was doing a show 9/11. Says, my co-host Michelle's leaving. It's not a lot of money. Do you want to come back and do this? And I was like, absolutely, I do. So I took about $100,000 a year pay cut, but I've never been happier in my life. Never. Here's the deal. I tell people all the time, well, I'm unsure about this, unsure about that. You'll figure it out. You guys have always figured out. Did you know how to do a podcast 5 years ago? No. You figured it out, right? You figured out how to do things in life. You figure it out. It's called a leap of faith. And so I got on it with then Chase says, hey, come back. And then we started in September of 2023 together. And he's the only guy I would do a radio show with. He's the only guy that gets my humor. He's the only guy that I don't like talking sports 100% of the time. And so our show grew from there. And that's funny. It's a sports show. Our segment where we got more interaction was over these 2 questions. The first question one day was, what's the best kind of French fry? Curly, waffle, straight, crinkle. I'm telling you guys, we've had that. And hundreds of people. It's a topic.
We've had that conversation on this podcast.
Is it not? It just takes over. It's so organic. Dude. Our second one was, do you eat breakfast? And people went crazy. That's so simple. No, I don't. And then so from there, so we just have fun. That's how I got back with Chase. He called me. I was in the corporate world. I was miserable. I was at a job. I was an imposter doing this job of like, what am I doing? I don't know what to do here. I would make up fake meetings on my team's calendar so I could go sit in my car and listen to the radio. I'd make up fake meetings. It just wasn't me. And so I praise Jesus that I got this job. So I got like 5 part-time jobs, never been happier. I found the gratitude and the blessing. I knew what gratitude meant, but I didn't know what it really meant. So now I know what it means. And so I tell people all the time, the Sunday Scaries, I do a thing every Sunday on social media about, your job shouldn't feel like a prison. Your job on Sunday night, I talk to so many people like, I don't want to get out of bed. I feel terrible. This is the worst thing. Wouldn't it be great on a Sunday night to think, man, I get to go to this great job tomorrow that I love? Why can't we find that happiness? And I've talked to so many people in a year and a half since we started doing this who have left their job to go find what makes them happy. And they figured it out. We always figure it out. So that's kind of a long story about getting with Chase, but there's a reason that I'm with Chase. And I thank God for that every day.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And that was a story I wanted to hear for sure. Because like I said, I remember seeing that transpire, and not only transpire, but now like you said, award winning, third in the market, third in national market.
Right? It's doing great. I mean, we got nominated for the best sports show in Tennessee, and Chase called me and said, "Hey, we got nominated. There's only 2 shows, the entire state. Knoxville's got some great shows. Memphis got some great shows." And I'm like, "What? Us?" I was like, "All right." So there's a big party next month, and I told Chase, I said, "Look, man, whether we win or not, the winning is in the journey." Because I've been, and I tell people, I've won 3 Emmy Awards, right? I've been nominated 21 times, right? So if I was a Major League Baseball player, I'd be back in the minor leagues, right? I would not get anything there. But I've lost 18 times. But the journey, man, the journey to get there has been fantastic. It almost supersedes winning because it's like, I put my heart and soul in this and I got recognized, nominated for that. So whether we win or lose, I'm grateful that we got this opportunity.
Yeah, man, that is so cool. I know before T.I. pops a vein, there's 2 things that he's dying to ask you. But I wanna get you out of here. I want to get you out of here on this, and then T.I. will ask his questions.
Sure.
I want to ask you, and I want to give you time to think about it. So don't give the answer yet, but then T.I. will chime in. Here's what I want to get you out of here on. What is the one thing that if you went back to, what was that movie with Bruce Willis and what's his name, Looper, where like he saw his younger self?
Yeah.
So if you could go back and tell your younger self, so stew on that a little bit, then T.I.'s got a couple fun ones I know he wants to ask you.
Yeah. So Joe, I want to know what two things. One, I want to know what the initial reaction was, because I remember when the camera cut back to the studio. And I remember the looks on their faces. But the around Thanksgiving, November, when you were deep frying turkeys, doing a little story on the street, and you were like, "We're gonna call this baby Mariota because that baby is cooked," you know.
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
Yes, it's done. There you go. I think I had an adult beverage drinking it and I believe I spit it out. I was in tears, laughing so hard. But when they cut back to the studio, the looks on their faces were like that you just like dug up all of their dead pets and kicked them around a little bit,
Right.
and put them back underground. It was like total shock. So what was behind the scenes? What was the reaction of that? Because I know you said you ruffled some feathers, but
my God! I mean,
let's hear what really happened behind the scenes.
So remember, like I guess it was 3 or 4 weeks earlier, he got benched after the Denver game, which was the worst performance by a pro quarterback I've ever seen.
Oh my God, it was awful.
So Mariota.
Like five out missed a Derrick Henry where he threw it in the crowd. It's like, what?
I think it hit Pike's Peak. It was such a bad throw. He's gotten progressively worse throughout the season. And look, he's a nice guy, right? But like, great locker room guy. But like Terry Crisp, the Preds announcer, said, if he's a great locker room guy, then keep him in the locker room, right? Right, it's a great line. Keep him in the locker room.
I've never heard that.
So keep him there. So Mariota was done, and everybody was like, he's terrible. And so we cooked this turkey, and they're like, name the turkey. I said, Mariota, because it's done. And that was it. But, man, it just took off. In fact, there's a good friend of mine who is really good friends with a lot of the Titans players, and they were rolling. They were laughing their ass off at that. And that was it.
I know they were.
So we put a clip out, and I shared it, and all that, and then it just took off. The funny thing was, Peter Jacobson, the golfer, gets on my Twitter and starts giving me all kind of stuff, right? Just tearing me apart. And I said, Peter, if I remember, you defended Tiger Woods, and now you're on this Mariota thing? Get a life, man. And, he blocks me. I'm like, whatever. But it just took off. And and so a few Titans PR people blocked me, and I'm like, I don't give a damn. And didn't talk to me and didn't give me interviews. And I didn't care. I mean, I truly did not care. It was a moment. Play better. Yeah. Play better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's you doing you, and you're right. Hey, give me a reason not to say this. Give me a reason not to say this.
Yeah, right.
It's like when It's like when Titans fans got mad because Cam Newton was dancing in the end zone. Cam Newton was like, "Well, just then stop me." And then if you want me not to
Right,
dance,
and that lady writes the
stop me.
Tennessean and says that's a bad display of sportsmanship. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's funny. Chase, my co-host, when Mariota was benched, there's a picture of him a game running on the field, and he's checking his wristband. And Chase tweeted out something like, "Oh, he must be checking the weather to see how it's going to be on the bench today," something like that. People went crazy, and I'm like,
I know.
"You guys were crucifying him a month ago."
Oh, I caught. I mean, I was very honest and vocal about my when it was time to draft Mariota. And I'm not to take it down that route, but I was just like, I don't want them to draft him. I see a bust. I was very open about that. The minute that we traded for Tannehill, I made a post on my page. I said, I'm going to give Mariota his day in court this season, but I would really like to see what Tannehill could do with this offense. I got roasted, and by week 5, he was the starter. I can't tell you how many times I go back and share that screenshot. I'm like, "Hey guys, remember this?"
Remember?
Exactly. Well, do you remember the joint practices with the Patriots that year?
Yeah.
So they had joint practice. Brady was carving up the Titans. I mean, he was 7-on-7. I mean, they couldn't stop him. Then Mariota,
like a turkey?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Mariota gets in there, and he first pass. Mariota airmails it almost to the lake. I mean, I was like, I'll never forget. I'm behind Vrabel and Robinson, and the whole time they're doing this. And I tell the guy with me, I was like, "This isn't good. Mariota's not their guy." And we knew right during camp he was not their guy, and it showed he was not their guy. I mean, Tannehill is the second best quarterback in Titans history since they moved to town in '97, and he was great. I mean, he was great when he was on. He was on, and then people are like, you feel bad for Mariota? He's been in the league now. This will be his 11th year in the league. He's made millions. I don't feel sorry for that guy.
He's doing just fine. He's doing just fine. Yeah. So that was one of them. And then another thing was, this is obviously a completely different avenue, but it's still equally as hilarious. So the night of the 99-yard Derrick Henry touchdown run, I was at the game, and I came home from the game. Not only was I treated with your tweet where you were calling the 911. Hello, 911. I like to report.
Yeah, right.
Like to report a murder in Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, right.
But then I flip on the TV and I see you drawing out the game with stick figures on pieces of paper, and you're sharing the whole of all the plays. You're drawing all the plays of everything happening. So, what was the situation there? You guys just didn't have the legal rights to show the video?
Right. So in the broadcast window, you can't show highlights until the copyright comes up, right? So I'm thinking, all right,
which is later.
Is going to be on the edge, and if you're watching me, then you're either bored or the cat stepped on the remote. If a Titans game is going on at that time, right? There's something going on. So it's like, so this happened years ago during the NCAA tournament where Tennessee was playing in the tournament, Bruce Pearl, and they're like, you can't show highlights. I'm like, I'm going to show highlights. So I picked out 6 plays. And I did stick figure highlights. I got nominated. So you remember I talked about the 21 nominations? I've been nominated for that award 8 times, and I won once, right? So that's what I won on. I won on that Jags game, and that's how I won my last Emmy. I won on that. So you just have fun with it. It's very stupid. It's very dumb. And, people now do it now, and I get tagged in all this stuff. And I'm like, Joe did it first. Now. I'm like, I'm sure somebody did it before me and all.
Right.
But, the NCAA broadcast window was so crazy. It's like if your game starts at 11, you can't show highlights in that window. Now, that window is 8 hours long because they got the 2 early games, the 2 afternoon games. You can't do anything. So what am I doing? So I'm like, all right, we're going to counter program this and do stupid stick figures and make them up. And that's what we did. And it just took off. It's funny. I worked with an anchor one time who said, I'm going to do. She's like, well, this is a newscast, not a playroom. And I said,
wow.
It's about to be a playroom to sit back and watch. She apologized after. She's like, that was amazing. And I'm like, I mean, you practice and time it out. But here's the thing, guys. You got to be different. You got. Yes. I cringe now when I turn on the logo, which I watch very rarely, and see. Tonight, for example, they're doing NBA news in Nashville. Nobody cares. You mean to tell me there's nothing local going on in Nashville? What it tells me, you didn't get off your ass in Enterprise and find a local story. There's always local stories, but they're lazy.
Right.
That's why they're cutting sportscasts throughout the country, because sports people on TV are lazy. They don't want to do anything. So I figured, you know what? Be creative, be different, and that took off.
Absolutely.
That
Hell yeah, man.
It's so good.
That's
This basically, man, just tells us that you got to come on season 2, and we need more. We need more, Joe. We need more stories. We need more
inspiration,
like these stories. So we'll end with the one that I asked. Reminder: check the links here. Check Joe's books. Follow Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media. Joe, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Tell us what you would tell your younger self.
Spend more time with your mom. My mother passed away of Alzheimer's in the last 3 to 4 years of her life, where she passed away in 2011. There's a lot of times where, I never thanked her, thank your mom. I wish I'd have spent more time with her, getting the story. I mean, I spent a lot of time with her, but now you go back, you just kick yourself because, she taught me how to tie a tie, throw a baseball. I'll never forget in high school, I had the playbook for her. All right, what am I doing this play? We would go over plays, single mom, right? So she was the greatest. And I would say, go back and spend more time with her and tell her thank you. And I never told her thank you. I never did. And it's crazy is that the fact of my father disappeared when I was like 5 years old. I'm quitting, I'm out, I'm gone. And I often think, what if my mom wanted to do that? So you know what? He gets to go do that. I'm going to go do that. What happens to me? Right? I'm not sitting here. I'm in foster hell. I'm probably in prison. I'm probably dead. So the fact that this woman taught me to never quit, which is kind of the genesis of everything I do, to grind, never take no, and to always get out of bed and find blessings and gratitude. But to answer your question, it'd be to go back and thank mom along the way. I don't think I ever thanked her. And that, to this day and to the day I die, to the moment I see her in heaven, I'll always be upset by that.
Yeah, man. That's special. I totally get that. And I love that these last couple years since my dad has retired, it's given my mom more time to watch 49er games. And we've gone to 3 games together. We're going to Indianapolis. And it's just really cool that I have that. And you saying that just makes me happy that I'm actually taking that advice now in my 40s while I still have her. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
I'm telling you, man, go to the movies. We would go to the movies all the time and just laugh. Just anything, because what I figured out all this, we go off to college, you spend with your times, and it happened with my son. When my son started driving and going with his buddies, I was like, where are you? Because we had that time together, that bond. And it hurt, man. Nothing that my son did, it hurt me. I'm a big sissy, but I'm like, did my mom have the same? Did my mom react? Did it hit her the same? I don't know. I'll find out one day. But yeah, call her, spend time with her, laugh with her, go see her, all those things. Because in a blink of an eye, man, it's gone. You're like, God, if I'd have done this or that. And that's the thing is, don't live your life like, if I'd have done this or if I'd have done that. Man, you don't have that in your mind. Like, man, because my mom and we had a great time. We laughed a lot. She was a big fan, big supporter of mine. And I literally thank God for every day. There's a Bible verse that I say is like, I thank God upon every remembrance of you. And I tell her birthday's coming up in a week, July 10th. And I always post the same thing about that is that, if it wasn't for this woman, this man is not here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You bet, boys.
For hanging out, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Again, you gotta please come back and hang out with Miles too when he can be on as well. And Austin Huff, I know you're a fan of him.
I love that dude. Man.
So he was on. Yeah, that was a fun episode with Austin. We just talked about a bunch of nothing, but it was one of our greatest episodes.
Well, that's the thing about Austin is what exactly I talk about. Be different. Be different. He is so funny. It's just like gut-busting funny at the things he does. But he also has this self-deprecating humor to him, which makes me laugh. And so it was great working with him. We had ESPN here in Nashville for a while, and I'm proud of where he is now.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah. It's so cool. Hang out with your friends and do the podcast. And again, reminder, guys, thanks again, Joe. Reminder,
boys.
starting next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So for now, that means we will see you Monday. Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.